Welcome back to another episode of the RAG Report podcast, your daily bulletin brought to you for recruitment owners around the world to effectively learn from others that have been through downturns in the past, suppliers, people that are educating and supporting other recruitment owners on how we're going to get through this COVID-19 disaster in the best shape possible. Today, I'm joined by Andrew MacAskill. Andrew is the founder of Career Jump, Executive Career Jump, which is an online platform supporting executives getting back into work, so effectively teaching them the skills to attract their next employer. And he's also an advisor to a new innovative startup in-house recruitment company called Collabz, which is aimed at the SME marketplace. Andrew has worked in recruitment for a very long time, has been a director and an owner of a recruitment business in the past, and advises many in the industry. So I'm sure he's going to have lots of information for us today. Andrew, thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for inviting me, Sean. It's good to be here.
It's really good for you to be on. I want to just tell people, I mean, I've been trying to work out an angle to get you on the original RAG because I just think you're going to add value for people and entertain. But this right now, you're one of the first people I thought about because you're so vocal right now. Your brand's going through the roof. You've got as many connections as anyone else. So I really wanted to know what your thoughts were on this. So look, first question, Andrew, what's going on for you right now personally?
Yeah, so what's going on for me right now personally is I'm just trying to have as many conversations as possible. Two things. I think we need to be supporting each other in the whole recruitment and talent ecosystem right now. That's for sure. But also I'm learning something from each conversation as well and starting to build up some clarity around what's going on out there and what we need to be doing. So I've been carrying on with my career coaching stuff. Obviously, from a job seeking point of view, I'm expecting quite a high demand on that area.
Yeah.
And we've also had our own Collabz meetings where, we launched that business a few weeks ago aimed at in-house recruitment. Now, when you think now we're working in a remote scenario, so in-house is out the window and recruitment is under strain. So we've been having our own strategy meetings, working out how we're going to pivot and rejigging that proposition as well. So it's been a really busy time, mate, to be honest with you. It's been absolutely nuts.
It felt like 2 weeks ago, I was in the office. I was recording a show on the Wednesday, and we knew something. We knew shit was happening, right? We knew it was getting serious, but not. And it felt like it accelerated over like a 48-hour window. And then, like I said, we let the Hoxo team work from home on the Thursday night. And from Thursday night, we said, look, we don't need to come back to the office unless it's necessary. And then over the next few days, things just changed so rapidly. You mentioned before we started the show that you've been speaking to recruitment owners in your network. What sort of questions have they been asking you, and what's been going on?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of them are trying to work out how they can pivot. So there's kind of a short-term need, which is how do we pivot to try and be the solution to some of this? Because the pain that all the recruitment companies in is exactly the same as the pain that a lot of our clients are going to be in. And so a lot of them are trying to work out, how do we navigate this? How can we be agile? How can we work on our value proposition, our services to kind of augment what we do already, but pivot a little bit and try and stay relevant during this sticky period. So most of it's been about that, plus just kind of checking in on each other, mate. Like it's a really shitty time. Everybody's worried. I don't think I've been as anxious as I was last week. For something that hits both your financial well-being and your health and the health of those that you love all at once. It's nuts. It's such an awful mix of things to try and get your head around. So yeah, checking in with each other, but from a business point of view, trying to work out, right, what do we need to do to pivot here, value proposition wise, to stay relevant? That's been it, to be honest.
So what advice or ideas have you either given or have you seen from those guys you're talking to?
Yeah, well, you've got two options really. So you can either go after a common strategy at the moment is to go after the industries that are going to have an increase in demand, obviously, from what's going on. So that's the obvious play, right? So home delivery, supermarkets, healthcare, divorce lawyers probably by the time we're through all this.
I was going to ask you about that.
Contraception, maybe. I don't know. Whatever the social whatever the social consequences are and the demand is. So that's an obvious play, right? You don't change your offering, but you change your sector, and you go in after where the hiring demand is, and go after that. The other option is that you bring in some auxiliary services, or you create different solutions for this current marketplace. So one thing we've been looking at with a couple of people is maybe creating like an on-demand marketplace. So if you've got, but MDs are in pain now around a whole bunch of stuff, particularly that SME mid-cap space. They're thinking about cash first and foremost, like we all are. So there's working capital, there's change, there's communications, there's training, there's remote management, there's value proposition design, like all of these pain points that businesses have. Can we get our candidates who are available to unbundle their time on an almost per hour or per day basis at the most, and remotely solve or pick up projects or crunch through data or work through some of these pain points for the client base? So we're offering an on-demand service to the pain that they're receiving at the moment. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that I really like that idea. I think that really though depends on, that's dependent on a recruitment owner or recruiter having such a strong relationship with the client that they really understand what's going on. I think my fear is that a lot of recruiters have such a surface level conversation with their customers, what's going on at the weekend, all this shit. And then they're like, right, what roles you got?
Got any jobs, mate?
Got any jobs, mate? And then they fill the jobs. And even look, if I go back to myself, I think I was pretty good at it, but there was a handful of times I remember having real detailed business conversations, but most of the time it was about filling jobs. Yeah. So when it comes to those in-depth solutions to real problems that are faced now, how many people out there are going to have their ear to it anyway and going to be able to react?
Yeah. Well, you've got to have a few really good questions. So, fast forward 3 months, what would have to have happened for you to feel like as a business owner that you'd navigated this in a way that you were proud of? Would be a great question.
Yeah.
So that
you can come up with that off the top of your head, or is that when you find?
Yeah. You're welcome.
Write that down.
Yeah, that's no. Yeah, something like that, and then go, okay, well, bearing that in mind, what do you see as the major challenges to getting to that point? Because there's loads. Okay, so therefore, if I could provide people out of my network on a flexible resourcing style basis to pick up some of these chunks for you to increase the chance of that 3-month vision that you've got for what would be, as close to success as we can possibly imagine in the current crisis, would that be of interest to you? Is there any reason you wouldn't go for that? Like, where are we up to? What if we could defer payment until the end of the project? What if we could do stage pay? Like, just get agile, get the pain on the table. There's more pain for us to solve now than there ever has been. It's just going to be really, really tricky to get them spending. And in order to do that, we need to make our solution relevant to whatever they're grappling with. Yeah.
So it's just our business owners at that SME market, are they having that level of conversation with recruiters right now? Or are they focusing on internal combos and shutting them off? I look at it myself, I'm being brutally honest. Like, I've had 5 or 6 agencies on a sales role for me that I'm not interested. Like now I'm focusing on what other things I need to do. Like it's been complete operation survival mode and work with the clients we've already got and all the things that we can do. So how do recruiters?
So what have you been focusing on? What's the major things you've been focused on?
We've massively looked at what we were already delivering for our clients. Basically, across all of our customers globally, we had like a content plan, and we're working towards that content plan. Some are at different stages, but then it's a bit like I got an email 2 days ago, I think it was, by a guy who was like, "Hey, Sean, are you looking to move offices in the next few months?" Like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "Are you fucking living on this planet, or have you just?" That's clearly something you've automated, and I get it because I'm in this. Yeah. So I was like, "Cool, I'm not going to call you a wanker, but I'm thinking it." But actually, that the fact is, a week earlier, that would have been an email I might have read and gone, "No, but cheers," or whatever. Whereas the world has changed so much in 7 days that it's not just irrelevant, it's offensive, right? So the way we're looking at is all this shit we're doing for our clients, which has been really relevant, has suddenly become irrelevant overnight. So it's how do we pivot to putting out strategies for our customers where they're actually offering the value that, like, look at this podcast, for example. 2 weeks ago, this was a weekly show. I released David Bloxham's episode last Wednesday. And if you listen to that show, you will hear me say, I don't want to go remote with the podcast. I said it. I never wanted to go remote. I always thought, face to face is who I am. I don't care what. I've listened to too many podcasts on Zoom and I didn't like the sound of it. But then we're forced into something and we've pivoted and we're getting more listeners than ever, great feedback. And so the concept's the same. It's just about how do you make it relevant? How do you make it the recruitment agency growth story of how Darren Rymil created Opus in 2008 and built it up. No one gives a shit about that story now. They want to know what the fuck is he doing today to get through this problem, right? So it's that story will be relevant again in 3-4 months if and when we come out of this. So for me, it's been about parking what we're doing and coming up with relevant solutions, like you said. How do we present? And to be honest, a lot of the advice we've given to recruiters or we've come up with in group conversation has been, it's not even about trying to get revenue. Like, a lot of them are like, how do we just offer advice to enough people so that we don't come across like all we care about is revenue? Obviously, they're having separate conversations internally about the teams and the headcount and making cost reductions, but it can't all be about that. It can be, sometimes it's got to be about how can we just help? How can we put Andrew MacAskill in a room with your owner and for free and just chew the fat? How can we connect people that can help you right now? So does that answer your question? It's been about pivoting and thinking about, it's all about relevance, I think.
It's totally all about relevance, but the same pivoting you've been doing is what the recruitment industry needs to be doing. Needs to do. And this is my point. So you mentioned, the sales recruitment agency that's looking at a role for us are not getting any of my time at the moment because it's not a priority for me. But if they'd have come to you and said, hey, Sean, you're probably working out how the hell to pivot at the moment, how to manage your time as a business owner, how to look at cash. We've set up a conversation for you with someone who successfully scaled and exited a digital business. The first session's free. And if you want to contract with them via us after that, if you get value out of it and you think it's going to be a strong proposition for you, then that's totally up to you. Like, you'd have said, yeah. So they've got to get themselves relevant on your agenda based on what you're dealing with at this point in time. And the trouble is, for so long as an industry in recruitment, we've been very, understandably, because it's been a money-making machine, quite formulaic and turn the handle in what we do. And it was already starting to creak a little bit, I think, with a lot of the disruption that had come in. That now, we've got to be super, super agile, haven't we?
Yeah. I think one thing that I've had a lot of conversation about is, the realization that all of our money comes from purely recruitment. Like, we don't actually, like, most agencies are not making any revenue in any other way. So Collabz, I know you've got plans to have recurring revenue from a recruitment perspective and then other solutions around it. And there's not many out there that have, well, one thing I was going to ask you about is this on-site solution. So there's a lot, we know the stories of your Talentfuls and all these other brands that are, like, surely they're at risk right now. Like, those brands are really in danger because their whole model's built on that, like a retained solution that is monthly recurring. That, at least the recruitment agencies are typically a no-win, no-fee. So clients, they're not paying you to do the work. How do you see those businesses pivoting? And how would you guys pivot when it comes to, if they don't want to hire, then they're going to kick you off site?
Yeah, no, they totally are. If your fees are purely aligned to cost savings based on recruitment, then you've got to move pretty quick right now. So those kind of guys, what they're no doubt going to be selling is pipelining. So the fact that if you can build a level of engagement, a level of employer brand goodwill, and some real brand equity, because that's the big opportunity right now in our space is brand equity in terms of how history judges us and what we're doing now. And it sounds like you're going about it the right way. But Talentful, et cetera, need to be coming up with new services that are far more forward-facing, based now and based around building talent pipelines, so that when the market does kick, because it always does, when it does kick back into action, that they're delivering competitive advantage to their clients. And this is what we're going to be doing with Collabz as well, is offering competitive advantage to the clients so that when it kicks back, that they can make 6 months progress in 6 days because we're already ready to go.
It's about that speed of agility. Well, one thing I really wanted to talk to you about was, obviously, Career Jump has traditionally been all about senior execs who are on the market sometimes for a very long time because, you know, there's only sometimes one CEO in an organization. I remember recruiting senior like contractors at sort of 12 to £1,500 a day. Was few and far, the roles were few and far between, right? So you support these guys with marketing themselves and that. So I think right now you're going to be busier than ever. And a lot of the recruiters listening who are being made redundant or could be made redundant, again, they're going to, this information's going to be relevant. So let's go through that. If I'm a senior recruiter tomorrow and I get told, look, I'm really sorry, but you're surplus to requirements, what can these guys do?
Yeah, well, the first bit says self-discovery around whether or not you want to stay in the sector. So I think for all the shock and panic, people go very scarcity mindset on some of this stuff and maybe then make a duff move or don't make the right move for themselves and end up with choppiness. And that's not the way to play. So even though we absolutely, people have bills to pay and they have to financially move, it's really important to get clarity around actually what do I want, and to do a lot of self-reflection, working out where you've been most fulfilled, where you feel like your skills are best aligned, what kind of leaders got the best out of you, not necessarily which one did you like, but which one got the best out of you, all of that stuff. So you can build up almost like a buyer persona that you're trying to attract into your career.
Right.
So the first bit's understanding what you want to do. The second bit, I think, is, so if you've got time on your hands and you're in isolation at the moment, but on the recruitment job market, and you decide you want to stay in recruitment, I would be becoming the news service for my sector. So I would be talking to 5 to 10 people per day in my sector, start catching up with them, finding out where they're up to, finding out how they're feeling about things, getting as many insights as you possibly could. I'd be scouring the internet for any trends. There was a new website set up this week called stillhiring.io, for example.
Yeah, Matt Hoxo, wasn't it?
Yeah, smart move, right? But most candidates don't know about it.
Yeah.
So I'd be gathering kind of intelligence around that kind of stuff. I'd be pushing as much content as possible to help people, being a positive voice throughout all the madness. And then once weekly, delivering some kind of roundup. So if you're in oil and gas, doing the oil and gas hiring market update and doing a roundup that would be suitable for both clients and candidates to get a feel for, well, there's been 500 new jobs put on LinkedIn, 30% of them are in London, some of them are interim. Matt Halsey's launched this new website called stillhiring.io. We've seen X amount of interviews cancelled. We've seen X amount of redundancies. Like, be the actual voice for your sector, the go-to guy for your sector, because you're going to get noticed by recruitment companies in your sector pretty quickly and be building a network that you can take with you no matter where you go.
Good point. Very good point. When people are made, I mean, I've never been made redundant, so I don't know, but would that forgo your covenant? Could you speak to everyone you know when you're made redundant? Is there any restrictions typically going to be in place for these people? Do you know?
It depends on your contract, but you don't need to you don't need to speak with the contractors who are still employed by the company that you left. I mean, provide that update without cutting across any of your legal requirements, for sure.
Yeah,
there's other ways to do it.
There is, but it's a good idea. I think most will go straight to the job market. Will go straight to Rec to Recs and just say, "Look, hi, I'm available." But
I think if you're a recruitment consultant and you're outsourcing your job search, that's not the one. Like Rec to Recs are fine. I know plenty of good ones. They're part of the job search equation. But really, you've got to use your own business skills on your search. You've got to define a buyer persona, as I said earlier, sales and marketing led, content led, value led. Like the two things that drive the job market, particularly at the mid to senior level, are reciprocity and advocacy. And you get reciprocity by adding value to people, and then they try and work out how the hell they can help you back. It's a very senior leadership thing. Like, we all do it with each other all the time, right? Yeah. You help me, I then go, well, how can I help you? And it's kind of we don't like being indebted to people. So the more value you add, the more people will try and help you back. And advocacy is so powerful, particularly in a market like this. So if you can get people advocating you into opportunities, or advocating what you're doing online into other people and all that kind of thing, then you're going to attract in far more opportunity directly.
I like it. One of the things I've been pushing and talking about this week as well is, I don't think there's whilst people might think marketing is the thing to cut, it might be the spend. It's one of the luxuries to chop, just like people and just like recruitment's being put on hold. I'm a firm believer that, if you lead on the front foot through these periods, then you're going to come out of this faster, and your brand will accelerate while everyone else is retreating and hiding away. I'm currently running a personal brand webinar every day at 10:30 for all of my customers and their consultants.
Awesome.
And the plan will be, we'll roll that potentially out to the wider market as of next week. What advice would you give recruitment owners, recruiters, anyone who's thinking, look, I am in a job and it's time now I've got to start building my brand online. I can see I see Andrew, I see Sean, I see these people, but I don't really know where to start. What's your advice on that?
That done is better than perfect. I think people totally overthink when it comes to content.
Yeah.
I'm not a qualified marketeer at all. I'm an ex-accountant with a face for radio who's been putting videos up for 3 or 4 years. So
I love how you always start with the biggest grin. Like every video is like, because it gets you in a good mood. When I see your face, I'm like, you can't be pissed off somebody who's grinning and smiling like so.
No, that's it. And that's real though. I do that. I'm grinning in real life. I'm not a miserable bastard in real life either. So done is better than perfect for start. So I think part of it's this analysis paralysis and letting go of the fact you need to get used to the fact that the moment you put something up, that your mate's going to screenshot it, send it to you on WhatsApp and call you a wanker, right? That is going to happen. That's cool too. Get over that. Like I get absolutely caned by the old football and rugby lads for anything I ever do.
We got called homo media for at least a year, but that's finished now, I think.
Yeah, my apologies for that. Yeah, I'll dial it back. But yeah, so I think first of all, you've got to let go of the judgment and the analysis paralysis and get out there and give it a crack. And I think the other thing that blocks people particularly is that they worry where they try and come up with content on the spot.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, I need to do a post. What am I going to write about? Yeah. And the one thing that's always worked really, really well for me over the last sort of 3 or 4 years that I've been trying to build up is at any point that I have a conversation or any interaction online or whatever, where there's a key takeaway, I just write a note in my notes section of my phone. And so I've got my next 40, 50 updates way before I need them. They're just there ready to go. Yeah.
I have a rule that if I hear something 3 times, it's a bit of a trend. So then
there you go.
Yeah. If I hear a client say the third time I hear something, I'm like, right, that's, if I'm talking to recruitment owners all day and I hear something 3 times, then I'm going to start looking into that more detail. Yeah. I mean, you write it down once, twice, 3. Yeah. I completely. Gary Vee says document, don't create. And it's the same thing, right? It's just every experience you have on a day-to-day is providing you with the content idea.
Totally.
You sit there and just look at a screen and go, right, what can I say now? It's like, nah, it's not going to work.
Exactly. But and what an opportunity. Like I can't believe the reach on LinkedIn at the moment is a total joke. So I think if you're building a decent cadence, like 1 post per day in a kind of microblog version with a headline and no external links, of course, and I'll follow all the advice on that, but a good commentary piece, 1 post a day, not selling, definitely not selling, commentary, not selling. 1 post a day, 1 vlog a week and 1 blog a month. That kind of 1 a day for micro, 1 a week for vlog, 1 a month for long form. Mm-hmm. You're literally within 2 months, you're going to have a significant following.
Yeah, I completely agree. I find the blogging the worst bit and the hardest bit.
The long form. Yeah.
I'm terrible at it. Like I've got to a point where, because I've not written a blog for so long, because I get frustrated and just turn it off. I want to. So what I'm doing now is dictating in my phone. I've got like 10 of them. And then I just need to spend some time either getting someone or doing it myself. And that'll come across way more natural anyway.
Luckily, you got a few good copywriters around you as well.
Got a few, but they're so busy that I don't get any work with them.
You don't get any lucky with your own gang. That's no good.
Don't get any time. No, at all. What's life been like personally? How's the family? How's everything going on?
Yeah, it's really hard. I've got 2 little kids, and they're 7 and 4, and they're really confused by it all. You know. Obviously they can tell mum and dad are a bit more concerned, and you know they've heard us talking about the grandparents and our concern for everybody's health, and so it's just brought a real level of uncertainty into their household, which is really, it's tough to see your kids having to deal with it whilst trying to deal with it yourself. And trying to get grandparents and parents who don't listen to a word you say to take necessary precautions and all that. So, mate, it's been. I've never known anything like it. Same as everybody else. It's a unique set of factors, and it's really, really worrying. It
feels like we're watching a film. Like
yeah.
Like last night was the announcement about like the big lockdown, and I was like, I'll never forget this moment. Like it's one of them, like, you know, when people talk about D-Day and stuff, and like there's these. Again, what's it going to be like when we come out of this? Hopefully it'll be an unbelievable euphoric moment where, you know, everyone's just dancing in the streets or something. But it is insane. I think as well, I feel like this week feels like spring's arrived, and you imagine what it would have been like going to the office, being around your mates, going out for a drink, being in the park. And that, I guess that's what drove people to the weekend to overreact and go out and about. I went to Pets at Home to get Henry's food for the next couple of weeks. Got a big, massive bag of what looks like absolute shit, but he liked it.
Good on him.
Yeah, of course. And there's people like queuing to get into McDonald's, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, what is the... I get why they're going to Aldi or Sainsbury's, but you're queuing, like, stood in front of each other to get into McDonald's.
Well, it closed yesterday, didn't it? So there was like, everyone was getting their last chicken McNuggets before it closed. It's nuts. Yeah, it's absolutely nuts, but it's a difficult time for everyone. I think, to your question earlier, you know, the big focus for me externally for recruitment leaders should be on the marketing and the branding and that side. And same for recruiters, staying close to your market, being the information service, trying to pivot your proposition. But also I think recruitment leaders, as has been well documented, need to be paying very, very close attention to their team's health and well-being, getting programs in. I mean, with the Collabz boys tomorrow morning, we've got a Louis Cross, who's the founder of Collabz and is a proper fitness guy, is getting us to get the exercise mats at 7:30 for a group Zoom.
Really?
So he's running us through a body weight led exercise, which is not going to be great for me, but I guess I'll roll with it. So, you know, kind of stuff like that. Like,
that's awesome.
Trying to break up, you know, going and spending some time in your garden if you've got one's really, really good. Like just making sure that you're laughing a bit, getting that team camaraderie going. I know a lot have been doing quizzes and meetups, and I just really, really worry. One, for the health of everyone, obviously that's the primary concern. But after that, I worry about the financial side, but really the mental side. I think this is so mentally testing.
Oh, 100%. Like, I would say you've got, I've got two houses, one that I live in, one that I don't, and there's no tenant. The tenant pulled out a week before the shit hit the fan. Just like literally, somebody was moving in, signed a contract, everything, then just decided no. So I spent 8 hours last week online to NatWest, not on the phone to NatWest to get the payment holiday on that. And that was stressing me out more than anything because I couldn't use my phone to speak to clients. Had to leave it on. It took me 8 hours of being on hold. And when they did it, it took 3 minutes. It was a really easy process. It was great. Well done, NatWest. But actually getting online, these little things are testing you because you it's already hard enough to navigate business. And then you got to think about, well, I'm not used to being in the house with my family and my kids and my wife and my dog all day. I'm not used to, I'm now thinking about every single fucking cost in my life, never mind just my business. It's crazy. I watched a show on Netflix about a month before this called Minimalism. I don't know if you've seen it. It's about a couple of guys who effectively realized a long time ago that it's not what you earn, it's what you spend that matters. Like, and they've reduced their costs. I've seen
it. Yeah, they've checked out completely of convention, haven't they?
Fucking awesome. And I was like, you know what? Like,
they weren't unhappy either, were they?
No. I mean, they seem great. And do you know what? Even before this, I was thinking about my spending, and I'm not a big spender. Like, I never was. Even when I was at my peak of earning as a recruiter, I was pretty boring with it. If I'm honest, I went on holiday a bit, but I didn't buy anything flash. But I've still got direct debits I don't need. I've still got things I don't need. I still collect clothes to the point where I don't need them. And, you know, I was already thinking about that. And then now I've basically gone through every fucking item of spend across my business and my personal life. And I've gone, I don't think I'm going to be the same guy after this. I just don't think I will. And it'll be a good thing. It should be a good thing. As long as we're all healthy, I think I won't be the same person. And even today, like I've had 2 days in a row, I've had breakfast and lunch with my wife. We've been out with the dog in the park for half an hour walk. I wasn't like, there's some benefits coming out of this, some small ones, which I know I'm not here to say, I'm not to say it's going great, but I'm also trying to anchor to some of the positives, because otherwise it's all just fucking doom and gloom.
Yeah, and there is growth. There is definitely growth to come from all this, and there's no point making the absolute miserable even more miserable. There's no good. The catastrophizing and the doomsdaying, however accurate it might well be. I mean, this is pretty horrific. But yeah, you've got to try and find that upside, and we all will be stronger and growing if we're lucky enough to come out the back of this in terms of health and business. We definitely will be stronger.
100%. Well, look, Andy, that's all we needed today. I think you're a legend for taking part. I appreciate your time. Always appreciate your opinions, and your ideas are wonderful. If anyone's out there listening and thinks, you know what, I'd really like to have a quick chat with him, are you open to that? Anyone reaching out?
Yeah, of course. Just hit me up on LinkedIn. So it's Andrew MacAskill, MacAskill. Yeah. Just hit me up with a message. More than happy to help anyone in the ecosystem at the moment. Appreciate you doing this as well. I think what you're doing is, as I said to you straight away when you started doing it, so I'm not just saying it because I'm on. I feel like this is a really important thing that you're doing, and a great contribution to a community that needs it at the moment. So
thank you.
Keep it up, mate.
We will do. And that's it. Look, thanks so much, guys, for listening. I really appreciate every single one of you, and I really hope you're getting value. I'm not going to stop this. This is going to be all the way through the summer. As long as this shit lasts, I'll be releasing an episode every single day, Monday to Saturday. And I'm obsessed with helping the industry grow and support and thrive. If you do like what you're listening to, please do share it on LinkedIn. Send it out via text, WhatsApp, however, to your colleagues and friends and fellow owners. And if you're on iTunes listening, please do give us your ratings and your comments, because it allows us to travel further, and that's what it's all about. We just want to help as many people as we can. I'll be back again tomorrow with another story of growth, all about how you can survive and grow and thrive in COVID-19. See you then.